Can you tell me what you're doing?
What I have here is 2 parts of one unit. I have the dry sieve material on one side and the flotation material on the other. You can tell the difference because the dry sieve is much bigger and in much better condition. And I have them both spread out at the same time because sometimes you find bits that go together across the 2 kinds of material. So you can have a half of a tooth here and a half of a tooth here. And I've already done the fun bit, really, or what most people who do Zork think is the fun bit, which is when you spread it all out and figure out what everything is and sort it all out. So what I have now is a whole bunch of bone fragments sorted out by size, and you can tell how difficult I found them because if they were very hard to make out, there's writing on it that says what it is so that I'll remember when I enter it. And now I'm just going through and entering everything as I go. I have to enter all the dry sieve stuff first, and then I'll get to finish this bit here. And this is a smallish unit, really, and there's a lot of digestive bone in it. So some of it's impossible to decide, or it's difficult to talk about as a species, but you can still say something about it taphonomically. What happened to the bone?
Do you know
afterwards.
what animals are those?
Sure. I mean, this is all of this in here. This is a sheep goat ankle, but this is all really digested. This bone should be, a centimeter bigger than that in every direction. So it's gone through a dog. And so have all these other ankle bones. And this up here is a sheep goat for the front ankle, which is the same thing, has gone through dogs on the way. And here is a...
And how do you know it's dogs and not humans?
Well, mostly because humans very rarely leave that kind of gnawing marks on bones. We don't have the sharp, pointy teeth that the dogs do. So there's a bit in here, for example. This bit has all of this along here, that's tooth marks, and along the back that's all tooth marks. And humans usually don't do that.
And he's definitely a dog.
Well, a dog or another carnivore, but we don't really have other kinds of carnivores on the site. Sometimes you have rodent gnawing, but this stuff is all, they wouldn't swallow the bone. They're not big enough to eat a whole goat ankle. And then I have a whole bunch of stuff that might have gone in together at the same time. This is mostly sort of mixed origin, but these are a whole bunch of sheep-goat upper teeth that may have hit the ground at the same time, and the lower part of the mandible. And usually with that many teeth you can tell if it's a sheep or a goat, but these are all really eroded, so you just have to say it's a sheep or a goat.
You have to use your knowledge.
Yeah. Well, you have to consult everyone else in the lab, and everyone else agrees it's ambiguous, and then...
What about gut feeling? You don't use these kind of things in microbiology? The gut feeling, feeling in your stomach that tells you that...
You can, but the trouble with this one here is that everyone's gut feeling went in a different direction.
Oh, I see.
So.
I see. And that tends to happen a lot, isn't it?
Well, not a lot, but it's a poor one to look at because all the top bits of a lot of the top bits of the teeth came off, so there's not as much of it there as you'd like to say. It's really a sheep or a goat, and that happens a lot with teeth. You end up with these teeth that are sort of broken off on a side, and you don't know. You can't say if it's a sheep or a goat. You don't know enough of it. And really, other than all this digestive stuff, there's not a lot interesting here, except that this is a very unhappy sheep or goat. This should be symmetrical, these 2 sides, more or less, and it's missing a bit, and that's because it had an abscess. Yeah, on the side of its tooth, too.
And one more question. When you work, what do you think?
When I work, usually there's a sort of a tactile sense of it and a space-fitting sense. You pick up little bits of bones and you try to make them fit your sense of space. I don't know if you were here last night when Ruth was talking about archaeology as through your hands, and for me that's a lot of what zooarchaeology is too. Is you pick it up and you have this sense of feeling of space. And sometimes you know what it is without looking at it, and sometimes just running your fingers along it helps you figure out what it is that you're looking at, but your eyes can't quite work out. And so there's that, and then there's also sort of constantly wondering what the reason is that all of this is together. Why is this a particular unit? You know, what happened that dogs got hold of all of these ankle bones and that sort of thing.
Great, thank you very much. Can you tell me what you're doing?
I'm assessing this unit. You probably know our priority system, where excavators and lab people in consultation decide what unit and look at some of the units that hadn't been identified as important or interesting in the field, that might have things in them that we want to see. So I'm not fully analyzing these units. I'm just getting them out, doing a very basic sort, and describing it. So we can then decide whether or not it needs to be fully analyzed. And if we don't fully analyze it, we at least have a description of what's in these units.
Mm-hmm. And in all this process, what is it the most exciting thing that you have ever found?
That's the question everybody who isn't an archaeologist sort of predisposes a very artifact-focused attitude, that there's a thing we're going to find that's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas really what's exciting is figuring out what's happened, and figuring out what the people did to make this happen. And that's not something you can get from looking at an exciting object. You need to look at hundreds of things and how they're spatially arranged and what they're in association with. So I sort of dodged your answer, but that's my answer. I dodged your question.
Yeah, but surely if you find something that changes the course of history, that must be extraordinary, no?
Here at Chelmsford?
Yeah?
No.
No? You don't think this is going to happen?
Well, I think we've changed the understanding of history, which I think is exciting. We've changed our understanding of what the Neolithic is like. Some people are trying to change the understanding of what archaeology is. But no, I haven't found treasure. That's what you're hoping for.
Could you tell me what you're doing?
I'm just opening up these samples that have been through flotation.
Uh-huh. And what are the samples of?
They're mostly bone.
Bones.
Yeah.
From where? Animals? Humans?
From various places on the East Land, I think. The last couple have been from the 40, but some are from the South shelter as well.
And do you know if they are human or animals?
I don't.
You don't know yet.
I think they're probably fallen over.
Is that what you're trying to find out?
They're not really my samples, I'm just working through them for someone to get some lab experience.
I see. So you're ordering them, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you something else. You see these pictures, which were they're pictures of things which were found here a long time ago. I think Mallard found these, and the second one was found by Ian Steen. So could you look at them and tell me what do you think that they are?
What do I think they are?
Yeah. Whatever comes to your head. That's what I want, you see? Imagination. I don't think anybody knows, but you see, that's why I'm very interested, because I've been working with these images for a long time.
To me that kind of looks a bit skeletal. Like
That's skeleton, yeah?
This.
And the pattern?
They look a bit like almost plans of the houses or things like that.
Plan.